What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Yep, you're right. The only courtroom where your voice is the gavel and the verdict belongs to the people. Tonight, we aren't just unpacking celebrity scandals. We're exposing the systemic, the salacious, and the socially significant truths behind red carpets and record deals. From billionaire beauty empires under legal threat to an industry icon accused of decades long depravity. These aren't just headlines, they're indictments of culture, indictments of capitalism, and indictments of consequences. We're asking questions that the network won't. We're examining evidence that fans ignore. And most importantly, we're putting power and accountability on trial. So grab your popcorn along with your principles because Celebrity Court is now in session. And remember, in this court, your opinion is the law. And joining me tonight are two of our best legal beagles who's been with us pretty much from the beginning almost. First up is our fiery civil attorney, Shaitan Turner. Get in here in Celebrity Court.
Hi, Your Honor. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. And guess what? I have one more day of school for my boys, and they will be on vacation. I think tomorrow I'm just going to throw them some scraps as they leave to go to school, forget about packing the lunch, and, just have free range parenting tomorroor.
Or
then one more week for my daughter.
You can always send pizza for the entire class.
Good idea. See, that's the way to make me be the popular mom.
All right. And on the road traveling, but never too busy for Celebrity Court, humorous at law, Sean Carter, get in here at Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to take the place tonight of Simone. I'm going to be Shimon, a white wine.
What number drink is that for you?
Too many.
All right, I want to give a shout out to our algoritors who are joining us already tonight. Tanya McNeil, welcome to Celebrity Court. SL, Nick Nat 86, welcome to Celebrity Court. Teray MCS, welcome to Celebrity Court. Lauren Knoll says, hey everyone from New Orleans, I'll be there for Essence Fest. Just Lee, welcome to Celebrity Court. Who else? SL, Just Lee. Milana NC, welcome to Celebrity Court. Teray M, let's see, did I miss anybody? Danielle Cameron, welcome back. Thank you all so much for joining us. JP Mills, welcome back to Celebrity Court. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. And as always, we have a guest attorney. Our attorney, Simone Redwine, will be joining us tonight as we talk about the Sean Diddy Combs because his empire is on trial. So this is a question. What happens when hip-hop royalty is accused of ruling with a violent fist behind velvet ropes? Sean Diddy Combs is not just a mogul. Right now, he's a movement. But federal prosecutors now allege that for over 30 years, Combs ran a criminal enterprise fueled not only by drugs, but by coercion and sexual abuse. This isn't just one scandal, it's a cultural earthquake implicating dozens of enablers, as well as institutions, and many are saying even fans. With over 120 accusers, the case threatens to dismantle a legacy built on champagne dreams and the bad boy bravado. All right? With charges ranging from sex trafficking to racketeering and damage surveillance footage surfacing, this trial will mark the most explosive celebrity case since Weinstein. Is this justice served, or is the system about to cave under celebrity influence? I believe the reckoning is here. Bailiff, let's see what Simone Redwine's talking about for one of the testimonies from a prosecutor's witness, Jane Doe.
Over here, listen, I am live from the Diddy trial. I just got out of the courtroom with Jane Doe. Jane Doe was there testifying. Y'all, I'm so mad. I am so mad. Literally, you gotta be kidding me. Jane Doe is full of it. As of what I'm hearing, so right now, she appears to be so full of it. Come in here. I'm so mad. Listen, at 4:30, It's 4:22 right now. Sorry. At 4:30, I'm going to be live on my YouTube channel, but I just had to let you guys know. This abso-fucking-lutely not. Sorry, abso-freaking-lutely not. Jane Doe, you heard it from me here first. As of now, what has been presented, she is full of it. She is full of SHIT. Basically, she came up there. This is a beautiful woman. I can't tell y'all who she is. I was in the courtroom. I see her face. I know exactly who she is. And they're going to have to come something better than this, y'all. They're going to have, let me tell you something. I believe that Diddy is guilty of stuff. I believe, and I actually want Diddy to go to jail. So let me be clear on that. So I'm not one of those Diddy sympathizers or supporters. But what I am saying is this witness right here with the stuff she was talking about up there ain't going to get it. Ain't going to get it. If what they have her up there talking about is if the goal is for her to be there to be talking about trafficking, which is an allegation, it ain't gonna get it. So the gist of it is she was with Diddy. They started dating in 2021. She was with him all the way up to his arrest. Okay, she's not there because she wants to be, but she said that she has a baby daddy who her baby daddy and Diddy have a well-known animosity. They do not get along. And so she talked about telling Diddy, like, oh, I just want to let you know who my baby daddy is. He was like, I don't care who your baby daddy is. Of course he don't care, because he likes dating other well-known people's baby mamas as like a thing. Remember Sarah Chapman? That's his baby mama. She was supposedly with with Tupac. That's what he does. I can't confirm. I'm not going to confirm or deny who it is, but she got a lot of fucking nerve. She got a lot of nerve. Do you know this girl had the audacity to come in there and be like, I felt pressure because he paid my rent. Bitch, get a job. Get a job. She literally said her sources of income was Diddy giving her money and her child support. Get a job. She is making real victims look terrible. There have been no facts so far that were anything like Cassie. And my concern is that this is going to lose the jury such that they don't want to give credibility to those like the Cassies. Okay? So
all right,
far,
Jada,
I can't tell you. Y'all
pause
not
on it right there. All right. Shaitan, you with us? I think you're on mute. Okay, really quickly. So I think I know who this is. Obviously, it's got to be Daphne Joy, because that's who took Cassie's place from 2021. If you read the court documents, it's named Jane Doe, but because I have inside information on people who were sex workers that were booked for the two of them at that time, in that time period, I'm going to go on the record of saying that it's Daphne Joy, allegedly. And it shouldn't be any secret, because if you follow their PR online, when they got caught by the pool, it's within this time, right? And so if her only income was the Diddy income, as well as the child support, which 50 Cent has been jeopardizing to take the child from her, then all of this is adding up. So my question to the two of you, Legal Beagles, how damaging is this? Because this is the prosecution. This is the prosecution's witness list. So she was supposed to come and support their narrative of sex trafficking. She's not supposed to come on the stance and take away from all the work that they spent in the 3 weeks to, lay the foundation for Cassie's testimony. How damaging is this, Attorney Carter?
I think that the prosecution is in real danger of over prosecuting the case. Here's the bottom line, all right? If all the stuff we heard by now, you don't believe that Diddy was guilty of sex trafficking, you're not going to believe it. They don't need another piece of evidence, another person to come in here and say how violent he was, how abusive he was. If they don't believe it by now, think about it. If you didn't believe 4 witnesses, you're going to believe 20. All right, you're just not going to believe it. So at this point, move on to something else. And what they still have not done, once again, is to go back to the RICO part. I need to see other people involved in this criminal enterprise. You can't be a one-man enterprise, all right? And all the kind of testimony now is about Diddy doing stuff, not other people.
So let me ask you this, because that's what Simone disagrees with you, right? She says that she already feels that the RICO has been proven. Shatan has taken that stance as well. But would Daphne Joy, would she not be considered in addition to Cassie as far as the sex trafficking? Or when you say RICO, it has to be someone on Diddy's team or a partner of Diddy's? Wouldn't these women be considered partners of his, because they are the ones that bring in the guys, fly them through, from state to state to have this great sexual freak off?
Not if you are the victim. If you didn't do it willingly, then that's not a conspiracy, right? It's like saying if you kidnap someone, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a RICO that the two of you were involved in that kidnapping, because you're the victim. So unless he has somebody who was willingly on board with it, it's very difficult to get to the RICO part.
All right, Shatan, talk to us. Why do you feel convinced that the RICO is already, at least a portion of it has been proven?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm convinced that it's been proven, but I think that they're on the right track. And here's why. I was thinking about this, right? Because Attorney Carter has been bringing up this point about the lack of other people. Remember the worker of Diddy's who said it was his job to take Windex and clean up baby oil and clean up blood and clean up drugs? There's actually
been three of them have testified that that's what they did.
Right. And one of them, the first one, right, he got immunity. And so what does that mean? Right? It means for him that he can't be prosecuted, but perhaps they did that to show that they could prosecute him. And so even though there aren't other defendants, that there are other people who assisted him with this enterprise, and they may not be named defendants, because initially Diddy was the sealed defendant, right? Which suggested that there were other defendants. So if they got the other ones to turn state's evidence and they gave them deals and now they're testifying for the prosecution, that gives you those other people. So I believe, and one of my good friends used to be an AUSA, and so I've been talking to her on the side. She can't be on the show, but she would be fantastic. And she said that this slow, methodical way of building it without having the smoking gun this early is also a strategy to not tip it off to the defense, specifically about where you're going with their strategy, so that they don't have as much time to prepare. So okay, I actually think they're doing a decent job at lining it up for the RICO, because you have, like I said before, the first thing they had to do was to convince the jurors that he was capable of all of this stuff. And even his lawyers keep saying things like, what you're going to learn is that he's a flawed, terrible man, but he didn't do the racketeering, right? So they're already conceded that he's not being portrayed very well here, right? And then the next thing you have to get him to believe is, was he so controlling that he could have motivated people who worked for him to help him do some illegal stuff, right? And then what was the illegal stuff that they were involved in? What I haven't heard about with the sex trafficking is anything related to the women being used in the freak-offs, like having it be commercial sex. But I guess they're trying to say the commercial sex part was the fact that he paid these prostitutes to be engaged in it. But like Attorney Carter pointed out on a prior show, the Punisher only did it in one state and he didn't cross state lines. So they have to do a better job at that, I think. What they've shown is that people have traveled, he and his girlfriend.
Yeah,
right?
I know for a fact with Cassie, they did it in multiple states. And I know for a fact that Daphne Joy did it in multiple states. Let's go back to you, Attorney Carter, because I'm sorry?
Haven't you had sex in multiple states? Like, that's not against the law. They have to prove
but isn't he paying? Isn't he paying? She testified that she got paid $10,000 a month to do these freak offs with him, and that he would fly her to different cities to perform these freak offs. So I don't know, but let's go back to you really quickly. Let's go back to you really quickly, Attorney Carter. So listening to Shatan, what I would consider a halfway comprehensive guy who can comprehend stuff. I understand what she's saying, but this argument I've said before, you have to convince all those jurors that this isn't about domestic violence. This is about sex trafficking and RICO. And I too feel like that of those 12 jurors, you cannot tell me that all of them are convinced that they're hearing RICO, even though the lawyers are slowly but surely proving RICO. So what would be, how are they going to connect those dots in your mind?
In my mind, and I think this has been the strategy from the beginning, is that the RICO case is really weak. You know, a criminal enterprise is usually somebody, the mob, for instance, doesn't sell records. All right, they don't sell DVDs, they don't do concerts, they do crime. All right, he's trying to say that Bad Boy Records, all right, is the mob. That's overstating it. But what they were trying to do is to basically technically say, okay, more than one person did this, so it's RICO. And now what they're trying to show is for the jury to say, this is such a terrible guy. We got to get him for something. We're the feds. We can't do domestic violence. We can't do this other stuff. Let's get him and let's show what a horrible person he is. And my thought is that you don't need to show 59 instances of bad behavior for to be believable. Give me 4.
Can RICO, this is all we need to know. Can RICO be an enterprise of freakiness? I mean, can RICO and freakiness be the same thing? Because what it appears to me,
right,
or I could possibly be convinced that here's a rich freak, a messed up freak in the head,
right,
violent, controlling, misogynist, all the things that you want to call him, freak,
right,
and he just used his staff to help him be freakier.
Well, let me ask you this:
is that called an enterprise?
Well, exactly, because in Your Honor, you're gonna have to use the statute of limitations on this. But when you're on Wall Street, all right, you ever been to a party that's a little out of control with the bankers? Yeah, we didn't call that a criminal enterprise. Those are just rich people doing freaky stuff, right?
Doing freaky stuff, yes.
This is what Bad Boy is.
You would get invitations, emails, texts from their assistants being invited.
Absolutely, right?
Is that enterprising?
Yeah.
You're on mute, Shaitan. So you're over there talking, but we haven't heard a word you said.
I was trying not to interrupt you like you told me in Chambers.
Order in the cart, lady. Order in the cart.
But yeah, so staying with it for the Wall Street parties, because I think it's a good example. So how many of those parties did you go to, and how many times did you see the law being broken? Because it wasn't just freakiness, right? This is not new dorms at UVA where you turn the lights off and people start touching each other, right?
Who went through that?
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody did. I heard about it.
I went to the wrong school, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is cocaine, right? These are prostitutes. These are allegedly. No, but wait. Allegedly, we also have some underage people across state lines, right?
That's right.
Like we have a lot of crimes that allegedly occurred at the freak-offs, and then you had a cleanup crew that came to conceal all the evidence. And so that's why
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think when I hear you talk about it, my logical side kicks in and like, okay, she's making perfect sense to me.
Right.
But when I think about my practical side, I think to myself, like, he's just a guy who manipulated a whole bunch of people, stole a whole bunch of people's money, which is illegal. But I just think that he was just not smart. I think he's like, these people are all on my staff, right? All these people are on my staff, and I'm going to make them help me do my freakiness, and not really thinking of it as being an enterprise of being a gangster, stealing, drugging, killing, shooting.
I'll give you a great example. The Wall Street party. There's some coke at the Wall Street party. All right. Nobody is thinking that is a RICO criminal enterprise we need to bring in and prosecute them like Al Capone. This is the kind of thing where they're basically saying we're going to try to squeeze, we got RICO. We can technically squeeze it in here with these illegal acts. But what we really need to do is show you that Diddy need to go to jail. All right. And so they're going to keep pushing on this idea of domestic violence and him being a horrible person and abusing these people. And my point is that makes sense, but I don't need to hear 37 incidents of it. All right. If you tell me 4 times that somebody has been violent to a woman, that's good enough for me. I don't need to keep 37 because every new one comes up, you start to go, wait a minute, that's a little questionable. If this person's been married, this it was baby mama so-and-so. This person's baby mama so-and-so. This person, and then it starts to get a little, and now you start to think, wait a minute, maybe they don't have a good case. Give me the 4 strongest and leave these other people out.
All right. Okay, here we go to the algoritors. This is a question for you. Can an empire built on manipulation be dismantled by truth? Sound off in the comments. Should Diddy's legacy be preserved or erased? All right, everybody, be sure to hit that like button because the likes aren't liking. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, hit the share it with someone. Invite them over to learn the law on the backs of these crazy celebrities. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications. And last but not least, continue to jump down in those comments. We see that Christine R. is missing Jason Weiss. Well, Mr. Weiss is on vacation, and we can't wait to have him back next week. Next up, he was once hailed as a hero of justice. Now Tom Girardi wears the title of a convicted felon. The mastermind behind the Aaron Brockovich settlement and former Real Housewives spouse now sits in prison for stealing millions from the victims he was supposed to protect. Oh, my goodness. Justice for the powerless before profit for the powerful. And this isn't just betrayal. It's white-collar criminality cloaked in designer suits and, yes, Beverly Hills veneers. Girardi's conviction on wire fraud spotlights the ethical rot inside elite legal circles. The embezzled millions, the reality TV glamour, and the silent enablers raise one burning question. Attorney Turner, who was really watching the watchdogs who happened to be one of what many considered the best lawyers in the entertainment business?
Apparently nobody, because there are stories swirling around about this person being places and then lots of money being gone when he leaves, and people trying to figure out, well, where'd the money go? He has stories, but what nobody can find is the money. You're like, oh, it was my bookkeeper. Oh, it was somebody else. Oh, it was Al Reynolds. No, nobody said that. But
I would be on here if I got 25 million. I promise you that. How does 25 counselors? How does $25 million get missing out of what is that called? What's that account called that y'all are supposed to put the money in?
The IOTA account.
Yeah.
The what?
IOTA.
And basically, it's IOTA is the initials for it. We often call it the trust, the attorney, the client trust account.
Try it, yes. How does $25 million? That means you've had hundreds of millions of dollars in there that people did not see 25 million for over 10 years. What? Am I in the wrong profession? What's going on here, lawyers?
No, and this is something, by the way, this is actually my job. It's what I do, teach people not to do this. But what happens is that nobody steals just $25 million outright from one person because you get caught that way. So what they do is they sort of borrow and steal a little bit from everybody. All right. And so this guy was doing big time work. All right. You don't get a blonde that tall and that good looking, because you ain't doing nothing. All right. He paid for this. All right. All that. And so he's doing a lot of settlements. People, he got, he's doing airline crashes, $2.5–3 million. And then what he do is, rather than paying any people out there $2.5 million, he might tell them, oh, you only got $2 million, and keep another $500,000 out of it. And so he's skimming off a little bit of the pot on everybody to the tune, like I said, of $25 million. Now, what makes this interesting to me is that part of that money went to what is called, let me see here, EJ Global. EJ Global stands for Erica Jane Global, his wife. And so what he was doing was funneling that money into her Real Housewives of Beverly Hills career, because apparently you don't get on the Real Housewives for free. All right, you gotta put some money and time and some stylists and,
you say
and maybe scribes. Maybe you have to invest in a little baby oil, right, to get onto the you know, you don't have to have $1,000, but you got to have a few hundred. All right, and so she has been doing all that, and part of like, wait a minute, you know, these people's money went to her stylist, and you know all that. She's got to fly private, all the stuff they do on the show, and what I love about this is he gets caught, all right, and immediately within a month, he's like, I got onset Alzheimer's. This was, by the way, 2019. He said, I got late onset Alzheimer's. I don't know what happened here.
Let us see it. Let's see this video.
You look at it, right? This, by the way, his late onset Alzheimer's was diagnosed 6 years ago. Now, I don't know what you know about Alzheimer's, but you don't make 6 years on Alzheimer's. And so they brought him to court and said, you a lie. You a damn lie. We're going to try you as if you are intelligent and ready for it today. And by the way, he got a 7-year sentence. This is an 86-year-old man. They're like, look, if you live to be 93, maybe we might let you out. Okay? They're probably going to send him rather than to a regular federal prison, to the Federal Medical Center in Butner, North Carolina. I looked this up today, and if you have some problem like Alzheimer's, dementia, etc., they're not going to just put you in Gen Pop. They have a particular federal facility. They'll send you in. They're supposed to be able to get you the treatment you deserve, if he deserves any treatment. Because what they're saying is, no, you're pulling the Cosby. Remember how Cosby, all of a sudden he was running in the pin relay, and the next week he was blind and got no legs, right? And so they're saying, we don't even believe you, but if you are messed up, you're still going to jail. You just go in a crazy person jail.
All right, algoriters. This is a question for you. When fame and power intersect with law, who pays the price? Drop your verdict. Was Erica Jane complicit or just collateral damage? Answer that right there. Do you think he did all of this to keep that tall blonde's legs wrapped around him real tight? So is she complicit or just collateral damage?
And now let's be clear. So we have all the information. 2 months after all this went down, and after she then filed divorce after 21 years of marriage on irreconcilable differences, i.e., I can't reconcile the fact that you broke now. That's what she can't reconcile.
Ain't going to jail. She got to go find her. She got to go find her man. She got to go find her another man and get things popping. All right. Speaking of another man, in an era where believed survivors meets weaponized accusations, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni blurs every boundary. Yeah, you heard me right. We're talking again about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And guess why? Emotional distress claims, mental health subpoenas, and Hollywood's even thin tightrope between power and protection are all at play here. As you know, Blake Lively has withdrawn. What was it? He wanted her mental health records because she made a claim, and because she didn't want to bring her mental health records forward, Blake Lively has dropped one of her accusations. All right, Shatan Turner, bring us up to date of what's going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
It's just all messy, right? I know this was one of our least popular storylines for the algoriters, and yet it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? So we have this employment matter where she's alleging, sexual harassment. He keeps saying no and doubling down on it. And he's doubling down on it in a way that suggests he's pretty confident, because Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are two of the most popular people in Hollywood. And it would have behooved him, one would think, to just let it go, come up with some plausible thing, some minor settlement, let it fade to black and continue his career. But he's not having it. He's like, you're disparaging me. You're a liar. And I intend to go to the mat and prove that you're lying. You and your husband, right? That's what he said. That's true. You and your husband. And then the Taylor Swift angle, right? She was supposed to come out and testify for Blake Lively, but instead she is kind of testifying on the side of Baldoni, which is surprising considering how close she was to Lively. Like, she and Lively were at the Super Bowl together in the box, chilling with Kansas City Chiefs gear. And they were like doing the dance, the white girl little dance. And yet she is not on her girl's side right now.
I know. I found that very interesting. And what's also interesting to have Taylor Swift side with Baldoni is that Baldoni, Carter, if you can help us understand, is countersuing her for defamation for $200 million.
Times two, 400 million.
Jeez.
See?
And what is she? How is he expecting to get $400 million?
He's obviously not. I don't know if Ryan Reynolds, I don't know if the Reynolds rap. I don't know anybody got $400 million. But the thing is, I find interesting here, and I really kind of had to think about this for a while because this is kind of a scary thing for at least a lot of women. She says, I've had intentional infliction of emotional distress. I now can't eat, can't sleep. I'm feeling crazy because all this happened. And what he said was, bitch, you always been crazy. So I want your medical records for the doctor to show you always been crazy. All right? You probably less crazy now.
And she withdrew the claim.
It was like, yeah, you're right. My doctor probably going to say I was crazy as shit last week, right? And the thing about it, I look at this because there was a thing called doctor-patient privilege, right? That says that your doctor not supposed to reveal stuff about you. But here's the thing about it. That privilege does not belong to the doctor, but to the patient. So if the patient says, release my stuff, you have to release it. And if you file a lawsuit against someone claiming that you've suffered emotional distress, then guess what? You waived your privilege. You got to go ahead because we got to know how crazy you want to start with. All right, she might just be less crazy now. The sexual harassment might have done her good.
Yeah, a little nuance with that, right, Attorney Carter, is that the reason she withdrew the claim is because if she hadn't withdrawn the claim and refused to provide the records, then the judge could have allowed the other side through a motion to compel to force her to give up her medical records. Right. So it's not like they just get them as a matter of course, but ultimately they would get them. And she probably
does not want those medical records to be revealed on both sides, whether she wasn't going through something, but in her other Hollywood bullshit that she was going through, she doesn't want any of that. She also doesn't want the frequency of her medical records to be revealed.
She may have had marital problems that could have gotten through them, and once she releases them, because you can redact certain things from the record, but the problem is with psychic injury claims, like she's claiming she is really alleging like but for what Baldoni did to me, I wouldn't have had this psychic injury. So he would have had fair game to the entire thing to say, nope, it was when Sean Carter insulted her and called her a bitch on. He would be able to point to all these other things at the same time. So for the algoriters, what the algoriters need to know, because everybody be around here talking about how they're going to sue their employer, they're going to sue their neighbor, they're going to sue their ex-boyfriend for intentional infliction of emotional distress. You have to show damages. And as Attorney Carter has said, the unfortunate thing about the evidentiary burden is if you've been crazy as a bed bug since you were 5 and you've been involved in seeing a therapist this entire time and have this lengthy behavioral health history, you are likely not going to prevail on saying that this new thing is what caused your injury.
Right. I'm going to go to you, Attorney Carter, before we move on. This, to me, was a huge hit to her because this lets me know that she's hiding something. She could possibly be making up something, and everything that she has been saying about him is all a question mark in believability, right? Because if you are trying to hide, for me, as just like a public person, because that's what she led with in the beginning, right? The harassment, the emotional distress, they were foot to foot. Right. And now she's saying, oh, not so much. I'm going to drop that. If you're dropping that, then for me, it feels like this wasn't as sound as you made it appear to be in the beginning. I feel like she thought that her and her husband's celebrity was going to be big enough to push Baldoni off the A-list. And what she's found is that her and Ryan's real PR in Hollywood isn't as strong as they thought it was. In fact, more people don't like them than they thought liked them.
I mean, I agree to a point. Here's the unfortunate thing about the legal system, right? Is going back to this notion of confidentiality. Once he had the records, he could likely do whatever he wanted with the contents. I mean, they could have moved for protective order through the litigation, but his knowledge of it, you can't unring that bell. So she might have postpartum. She might have,
schizophrenia. She may have
a lot of things that she just doesn't want to be known by anybody other than her therapist. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't conclude that she's necessarily lying. What I would conclude is that she has something in her records that she doesn't want known. And as a result, she pulled the claim. It could be protecting her family. Like, I don't know what it is.
She's protecting her psychosis. That's what she's and she doesn't want anybody to see that diagnosis of multiple personality disorder. And if you look at all the tapes and the testimony, there clearly is multiple personality disorder, which his lawyers would then claim, see, I told you so. She's making all this shit up. Anyway.
So
here's my question real quick. I want to ask Carter real quick. Okay, so you don't think that this was an explosive gun for the case for her?
No, only because here's the thing. In the court of public opinion, oh yeah, trust me, Your Honor. I was saying the same thing. The reason I'm on the road now is because my wife threw me out after I told her, I told you that bitch crazy. All right, so trust me, I totally get it. I'm on your side. But the jury will never hear this, because all they're going to hear is the claims that continued on, right? So they're not going to go to them and say, hey, by the way, she wouldn't release her records to us because she knows she's crazy, all right? They're just going to hear and remember, the claims she still has are sexual harassment, retaliation, defamation, invasion of privacy, and civil conspiracy, whatever that is. But the point is that she has enough other claims that don't depend on emotional, intentional infliction of emotional distress, where she'll be able to still take her case. But in the court of public opinion, there's gonna be a lot of us going, yeah, you crazy. All right, you always been crazy. And I think, to me, is this the interesting thing. I want the operators to help us out here. I think this, maybe the Attorney General mentioned this. She don't want Ryan to find out about something, because she's been in the therapy going, my husband ain't shit. Let me tell you about this. And his dick little, she's been talking a lot of shit about him that he don't want in there. And
oh my God, Corey. We're not talking about small penises. We are not talking about small penises in this school.
When I put my foot on, he just doesn't get excited. That could be your medical record.
You heard what?
She might be saying, when I put my slip on, my husband just doesn't get excited anymore.
All right, Alvarez, let's go to you. Is this war about reputation? Who do you believe? Do you believe Blake?
Oh, wait. Renee Carter is on the comments, and I talking about Attorney Carter. It's getting good.
Baby, I didn't mean none of that stuff. I don't know what these people call it. They lying to you, baby. They lying on me.
That's his wife?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you better watch it. She's got her eyes on you.
I can't go home now. I live here now in Missouri.
What I'm talking about, because I told Christine to cozy up to him because Jason wasn't here. And so I think Renee's telling me to stay in my lane. I didn't mean it, Renee. It was all for communication.
Miss Carter, check Miss Turner, baby. Check Miss Turner. All right, Algorithm, once again, in this war of reputation, who do you believe and why? Are you on the side of Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni? Drop down in that comment section. Who do you believe? Is Hollywood ready for a new standard of accountability, Or are we witnessing its slow legally unravel? Speak now. All right, next up, everybody. Oh, before we move on, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Turn on your notifications as always. Miss Clark, Miss Carter, Miss Renee Carter. Continue down in that chat, baby. We love it to see you here. All right. When Marshall Mathers steps into the courtroom, it's not with a diss track. It's with a $109 million lawsuit. You know him as Eminem, and he's suing Meta for allegedly allowing users to remix, reuse, and profit from his music. But guess what? It's without his permission. This is more than copyright infringement. This is a cultural clash. Creator rights versus tech monopolies. As reels and user-generated content dominate social media, who really owns the art is the question. This case could rewrite the rules for every platform, artist, as well as influencer. And if Meta loses, the ripple effects could be felt from TikTokers to Taylor Swift. Attorney Carter, take us away and tell us what's going on. And is it possible that Eminem is actually going to win this $109 million?
I'm not sure he's getting 109, but he's getting something. So what happens is that when you make a reel, for instance, on Facebook, you TikTok. Can then choose, or TikTok, but this is just Facebook, Meta. It's Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, right? TikTok, by the way, would be illegal too, but you can't sue them. They're in China, right? So what happens is you can go in and add original music, and you can say, "Hey, I want to add this," and they had.
Yeah, I choose it when I post my stuff.
So they have 243 Eminem songs. By the way, I didn't even know Eminem had 243 songs. That's impressive. But anytime you add one of those, he's saying, "Hey, you owe me $150,000." That's a statutory penalty for using unauthorized music. Now, why would this happen? Doesn't Facebook have lawyers too? Yes, but here's the problem is Facebook went out and signed deals with the 6 biggest music aggregators. UMG, Universal Music Group, that's Drake's group, Warner Music Group, Sony, and 3 others. They control about 90% of the music industry, but they do not control all the music. All right, Eminem has his own thing separately. Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and they didn't have permission to do that. Now, here's what's messed up. I said, well, why would Facebook do this? They got lawyers. Why would they put it on there? Facebook didn't put that music on there. Facebook's algorithm works where if you have music in your background, so let's say Simone Redwine was out there, she had a boombox, and she was playing Slim Shady. Then the Facebook algorithm picked that up and said, oh, that's music. That's original music in the back. Let's now allow people to use that. And in their reels, they didn't have a way to, they didn't at least make a way to cross-reference all these millions of songs. So they've got a bunch of Jay-Z out there, a bunch of Taylor Swift. Eminem's the only one who said, hey, I want my money. And I want $109 million. I want 150,000 times 3 times 243 songs. All right. Right. That's now he's not gonna get that much, right? That's crazy. It's a crazy amount. But what's likely gonna happen is that Facebook is gonna come back, make some licensing agreement with him, and then, by the way, Taylor's gonna be like, shake it off, shake it, all right, give me my money, all right? You know Jay-Z, all right, it's gonna be like, can I get a whoa, right? Can I get my money, all right?
You guys are showing out tonight. You guys are showing.
And the bottom line is, he has a really, really strong case, and Facebook didn't do it on purpose. But here's the thing about it is, Facebook is like $109 million. You got change for $1 billion. They don't give a damn, right? It's $109 million. So they weren't going to go through the trouble of trying to stop it. They'll just pay him later.
So let me ask this question, because we have this problem here at Celebrity Court. So when I am promoting on Instagram, and it allows me to select people's court music. So that's how when you guys see me promoting the show, I'm allowed to play the people's court music. Right. However, when that transitions to YouTube, it becomes a YouTube violation on copyright or trademark. What? Copyright. Copyright. And I get a violation strike, and I'm not allowed to use it. I'm so confused. Why am I allowed to use it on Instagram, but I'm not allowed to use it on YouTube.
So I think we should probably talk about hypotheticals, right? Because I'm assuming that everything you're doing is covered by the law, and you wouldn't do it if you thought it wasn't covered by the law. But there's some other show out there that has a similar scenario, right, Attorney Carter?
Okay, got it.
And the interesting thing about it is it could be dependent on whatever the contracts are between YouTube and with Instagram for using that music. That could be the explanation, and the explanation could be something else. The explanation could be that Instagram isn't as prudent as it should be about sifting because it's trying to compete with TikTok, which can't be sued. And so they're letting some things slide. Interestingly, right, Eminem is suing Meta. Instagram's a company now, right? YouTube's a Google company. And so Google could also have stricter standards about whether or not you have permission to use the music. So yeah, it's interesting. It's complicated. Fortunately, they're going after, for the algoriters, they're going after the companies and not going after the individuals for usage because the companies give the platform. But I just want to say shout out to Jessica Brooks. And I really hope your Friday is better than your Thursday, honey, because we're glad to make you smile, but we want you to have all kind of sweetness and light in your life.
All right, Jessica Brooks, thank you so much for that super chat. We really appreciate it because these lawyers are definitely even making me laugh tonight, and I love it. All right, everybody. So the question for the algorithms is, do you believe platforms like Meta should pay every time someone uses music, or is that the price of exposure in a viral world? Let us know. Is big tech stealing, or is the artist gatekeeping? This is a tough one for me because I have to say, if I was an artist and the way they've been streamlined on how they made their money, if you're playing my song on your platform, I won't get paid.
Well, that's what Boyz II Men is actually trying to do. So they're not going after big tech, but they're going after how singers are compensated for radio play, because who gets played off of radio play are only, the writers and the producers. And Boyz II Men sings, but they didn't write a lot of their stuff. And their songs keep playing. And so they're actually lobbying for a different compensation model so that singers get more money. In this case, we're talking about the writers of the music, but like Connie Francis, I don't know if you guys saw this on social media or on the Today Show this week. Connie Francis from like the 50s and 60s. She was in this movie called Where the Boys Are, and she was also a popular singer back in the day. She's got a song that all of a sudden has gone viral on TikTok. Everybody's singing it. What's her name? Stormy's mother, Kylie Jenner, like all these people. It's like really hot right now. And if she wasn't compensated for the airplay, right, then she would just have made this great content. And she's kind of broke now because they didn't have really good contracts back in the 50s.
Well, back then. So yeah,
right,
so she
so shouldn't she get paid?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did you see on social media, algorithms jump down in the chat on this? Did you guys see on social media the accusations that Jay-Z paid $10 million to radio stations, $50 million, so that Cowboy Carter could win all of the country award stuff? It was a total of like $110 million was paid out for him to get them to play her music over and over and over and over and over. And I got to be honest, I'm old school. That's how you got me to listen. That's how you got me to buy your album, by it getting radio play over and over and over and over and over.
We better hope that isn't true. Didn't anybody see Dreamgirls? Like payola gets people in prison. So so hopefully that's not true. I mean, supposedly, like if you kill somebody else's song, the money, that's the payola. But if you're paying to play, there are some legalities to that. So hopefully that's just a vicious rumor, because I can't see another black man be up on some significant charges right now. I just don't think my heart can handle it.
All right. Speaking of hopefully that's not true, Justin and Hailey Bieber Love, law, and $1 billion question. They were Gen Z's golden couple, but what happens when love meets legal loopholes? With no prenup in place, Justin Bieber may be entitled to half of Hailey's $1 billion skincare fortune after the sale of Rhode to F Beauty. In a California community property state, romance has a price, and this one may cost $1 billion. This case flips the gender dynamic on its head. In most celebrity divorces, the woman walks away protected or with less. Now it's Hailey's turn to potentially pay. And the legal system, it's watching this very closely. Now, from what I understand, I'm going to pass this to you, Attorney Turner, but from what I understand, when they got together, Justin Bieber was the one worth $1 gazillion. She, even though she comes from a wealthy family, was not worth $1 billion. She wasn't worth a couple of million, well, maybe worth a couple of million, but not this level. Now that she started a beauty company, which is very interesting to me, to start a beauty company 3 years ago, and now it's worth $1 billion and sold it for $1 billion. Now she's the billionaire. He's claimed that hundreds of millions were stolen by his manager. So now he's borderline, not even close to being a multimillionaire. Now the roles are reversed, Miss Turner. What are your thoughts about her paying him in this situation if they divorce?
Yeah, so what I think is she should go to, I think you can still go to Walmart. We're boycotting Target, get some knee pads, reconcile with her husband. However,
you tell her to get back on her knees.
I'm just jokes, algoriters. I mean, so here's the thing. It was the lesson to everybody, right? Is the time, including myself, the time to get a prenuptial agreement is when everybody's in love. Because when everybody's in love, people do a whole lot of things that maybe don't make sense. The problem is that when things go sour and you no longer want to be with that person anymore, the broke one doesn't feel the same way about the money. Right. And so Justin's thing is, as somebody put in the chat, he is traumatized by Diddy. Like, we don't know what happened, but he was young. And if he was behind those closed doors and, you know,
like Usher said, he saw things that he should not have seen at that age.
Exactly. And I mean, all of the orifices that become available with all that baby oil, like that could be very difficult for him to not be able to see again. And when you saw him perform recently, he did seem like a young man who was struggling, right? So query whether he believes that he's got good earning years before him. So if he was the victim of some kind of theft on the part of his manager, he still has a lifestyle to which he's become accustomed, and he and Hailey were in love. So that would be his position. Like, it's a community property state. Give me my half. Now, here's what I will say. And here's why I think, and this is not very feminist of me, but I'm going to say it. I think the whole notion that there's no credit for like carrying a baby and having the baby, that's just some nonsense that some men put forward to
Order in my court. Order in my court. We're not going down that route in here today.
The reason I bring it up is because she gave him a baby.
No.
She gave him a baby.
Hey, you know how much work it takes for a man about that 30 seconds to give you a baby? All right, that's work. We putting in cardio, all right, legs and abs. Don't act like that ain't the same as 9 months. Here's the thing is, this is what getting a lot of people butt hurt here. We didn't have no problem.
Wait a minute, gave a lot of butt hurt.
Yeah, we did. Well, whatever hurt. All right. When we had no problem when Mrs. Bezos was like, "Hey, my man done come up. I need about $63 billion to go away." Now that she doesn't come up, we like he needed this.
Yeah, now he doesn't deserve his money. I don't understand.
Well, no, but seriously, if we're following the equity things, Attorney Carter had to bring that up. I was like, hey, Mrs. Bezos, but the difference was they had been together for a long period of time, and there was some evidence that she had actually assisted. This Bieber marriage isn't that long, and she just made the money. So for me to feel persuaded that he deserves that much.
No. Order in the court. No.
They've been married less than 10 years.
Miss Turner. Too much tonight. Too much, man. No more water for you on the job, man. No more water. You think too clearly. Sorry.
No, not really at all. Here's the thing about it is that you're right. They only been married a few years. They started this company though after they were married, all right, in 2022.
That's right, bro.
And here's the thing about it is, do you think anybody would know who the hell she was if she wasn't married to Justin Bieber?
That's
you
right.
think she'd ever sell a skincare product?
No,
all right.
And he helped finance it.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, he deserved 3/4 of the money. All right. She need to go get a job. All right.
He deserves a return on investment. Does he deserve half? In my opinion, I don't think so. But
oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying it.
But that's a good problem to have.
If it was the other way around, you would want her to have her money. You cannot be like that. No,
I'm actually pretty equitable. I'm pretty equitable, but seriously, I do think in equity, the fact that she carried a baby should be factored in.
Oh my God.
And I also think that I want to personally have the come up. I want my issue to be how many millions do I get to keep
Turner,
versus how many do I pay my
You are in attempt of court. Silence. Thank you. Jesus, the double standards drives me nuts around here.
I know.
What do we have to do? All right, algorithms, let's see where you stand on the double standards. Should every couple, famous or not, sign a prenup? Jump down in the chat. Second question, is Justin cashing in on love, or is Hailey reaping the rewards of a shared brand? Like Attorney Carter says, I think that's what I'm seeing. The second question is Justin cashing in on love, or is Hailey reaping the rewards of a shared brand? You decide. Put your verdict right down in the comments. All right, everyone, this is the part of the show where we go back through the cases and decide who's guilty and who's innocent. First up, P. Diddy. As we learn more information, we've just been brought to our attention that 50 Cent has now entered the chat and has confirmed that it's actually his ex and his baby mama, Daphne Joy, who testified today in the Diddy trial. Oh, this is juicy. So is Diddy guilty or not guilty? Where do we stand, Attorney Turner? What say you?
Are we still debating his guilt?
Well, this may be swaying your opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of the how guilty, but he's definitely guilty.
Still guilty? All right. So, Attorney Carter, did Daphne help prove anything? Is he still guilty or not guilty?
No, she didn't help prove a damn thing, but he's still guilty.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to say that Diddy is still guilty, but something in the sway of this isn't going right. I think people are going to get exhausted by all of this if this testimony doesn't get juicier and more direct. That's just my personal opinion. So we're going to find him guilty tonight, but it's open to interpretation. Next up is Tom Girardi, guilty or not guilty of stealing that low law firm's money. Attorney Carter, what say you?
I told you 100 times. All right. He's guilty of not marrying a grown-ass woman. All right. If he married a woman wearing a slip, it wouldn't be a problem. All right. But you got this young, cute thing out there. Now you got to spend you steal $25 million to get her on TV. I ain't have to steal nothing to get my wife on TV. She happy to be home.
You better watch out. Miss Carter is on the line, baby. We don't want her. I know. We don't want her to jump down in this chat. All right, is Girardi guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty of not knowing how to manage his affairs. right? That's what I think. To Attorney Carter's point, once he made the decision to marry that woman, he should have been like, you know what? I don't have $25 million life to give you. I have a $500,000 life to give you.
All right,
I'm a lawyer.
We're going to find Girardi guilty as charged. Next up, we have Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. Who's guilty and who's not guilty? Attorney Carter, let's go to you.
I'm gonna say it's Ryan Reynolds is guilty of not making that woman happy and having her say some stuff to her psychiatrist that they don't want nobody to hear.
Attorney Turner.
I think the industry is guilty with this one because I think that her reputation is solid enough that she wouldn't be pushing if she weren't sincere. And so I think the fact that she's getting so much pushback is just not allowing us to get to what really happened.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and I'm going to find Blake Lively guilty of hiding something, and we're going to find it. We're going to find it. Next up, we have Eminem versus Meta. Is Meta guilty or not guilty of stealing Eminem's songs and not giving him the money? Attorney Carter?
Oh, yeah, they're guilty. But you know what? I don't know what to say here. It's very simple. They stole the stuff. They didn't really care to steal the stuff because they Meta. They got Meta money, and he got M money. All right, think about it. Meta is 4 times bigger than M. All right, they'll just pay him his little money and pocket change and move on. They ain't worried about Eminem.
All right, Attorney Turner.
You know, I'm not entirely sure. I think I want to know, like Christine R. said, Al, did you grease up the cheeks and go to a Diddy party?
Ooh.
That's what Christine R. said.
Your Honor, plead the fifth. Plead the fifth, Your Honor. Plead the fifth.
Jeez, that's a nasty comment, Christine R. But you've been on one a couple of these last couple of shows. You better skate lightly, man, because I will block your ass. So you better get your laugh in there, Miss R, because you will be blocked off this show.
Don't do that, Jason. What you gonna do with Jason's best fan? Don't block
Jason's gonna be down a fan, baby. He's gonna be down a fan.
You know what? Blame Jason. He made her go astray. Yeah, because if he was here and she could lust after Jason, she wouldn't even be thinking about you.
Would be in my cheeks. Okay. I did want to get to Colette Davis' comment. Attorney Carter is going to be on his best behavior next week. That's hilarious. All right, let's keep going. All right, Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber. All right, who's guilty of what is Hailey? It's Lord, who's guilty of what here? Who are we siding with? Attorney Carter, let's start with you.
I'm siding against Attorney Turner for the double standard and not letting Jason get his $550 million. All right, that man, look, that man, she made that man wear a pink hat. He deserved at least $450 for just that. All right, let that man get his $500 million.
Attorney Turner.
I actually don't think either one's guilty because we didn't even establish that anybody wanted to get divorced. So yeah, she's empowered, and I'm supporting her because she made $1 billion.
I'm Al, and I'm the judge, and we're finding Attorney Turner guilty. Guilty. Double standard. That's who's guilty in that case. All right, everybody. Tonight wasn't just about celebrity gossip. It was about power. It was about property. It was about patriarchy and privilege. The court of public opinion isn't always fair, but you want to know what? Like tonight, it is always loud. And in a world where lawyers, contracts, and NDAs do more talking than truth, we're the last line of real accountability right here. These aren't just stories. They're case studies on who gets protected, who gets paid, and who gets played. So before you scroll past another scandal, ask yourself, if it happened to them, could it happen to you? Your voice matters. Your opinion is the law. And in this court, we never adjourn. Stay loud, stay critical, and stay tuned until the next time. Court of Public Opinion is now dismissed.
Love you, baby. Renee.